Tell me, what do these two guitar riffs have in common? I'll give you 5 seconds to decide. Did you say that the band members' haircuts would make for great mops? I thought the same thing, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how the first not open note of each song is the same note, if that makes sense. Did you notice how both of these notes are not only on different frets, but on entirely different strings too? What is this? How does this happen? Well, I like to call this string identity theft. The simplest way to describe this is to think of a guitar with one really long fretboard with one string that can play all the notes on a regular guitar. Playing the string open would sound like an E string, an open E, but as you get to the 5th fret, you hear an A string, and then if you go up another 5 frets, you hear an open D. Each multiple of 5, it goes up a string. What I've described here is basically a regular guitar. The only difference is that a regular guitar is a lot more compact and convenient. Let's go back to that 5th fret, but on a regular guitar. I like to call this the magic fret because every time you strum a string with your finger on that fret, you cast a mimicry spell, making that string sound like the one right after it. To keep the theme of this video, however, I looked up what the most common type of identity theft was, which is of the financial kind, so you could refer to it as the really bad bank firewall, or RBBF for short. Moving on, if you go 5 frets up, you can get the next string, and then 5 more the string after that, and this works for all the pitches in between as well. Again, you've pretty much have broken the firewall, gaining access to all of this information. This can come in handy when you're trying to write your own music. For example, take this short chord progression. Now, watch this same chord progression, but for the last chord I use the 5th fret on the E and the 7th on the A string. With this, I've made the movement of my fingers more compact, thus easier, allowing me to conserve energy and give myself more room for error, though if you were doing the same thing at that speed, it would be harder to mess up, but that's just a hypothetical. Remember at the beginning of the video where I showed you how you could play the first note of the Black Dog riff up at the 12th fret? Well, using what I've explained, I can play the whole riff up there. Let's say you wanted to do an iteration of this riff after the fact, where you do a lot of shredding high on the fretboard, instead of doing it all the way where you would normally do it and having to rapidly move your hand down to the higher notes. In this case, you would already be there, making the transition to that epic solo all the easier. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I made this shorter video because I lost the data to a bigger video I was working on due to an honestly unnecessary update from my video editing service CoolCut. But hey, if you guys like this shorter video where I explain some guitar basics through odd means and bad jokes, then I'll do it again if we hit 10 or so likes. See you guys.